this takes me to the next question, because I think you're limited on time. What I wanted to ask you was, of course, the main topic of your course dealt with Black feminism and from a transnational perspective. And the spaces and works that you've explored with your students have been gendered female primarily. And while the arena of Black feminism has been dominated almost exclusively by Black women, what are some of your observations regarding Black males here in Germany?
Well, I do remember this question. I actually, this might be a good time to talk about the changing of the course title, which was something that you were really instrumental in helping me think about when we were visiting with you. I know you probably remember this, but the students you allowed us the time to just break and eat and chill. And we came up with a new name. Really, I think you said it or a student said it, and then I kind of thought, oh my goodness, that should be the name of the course. And it was, Hidden Spaces, Hidden Narratives, Intersectionality Studies in Berlin, because while the focus primarily was on Black women and feminism, and I don't think that's going to change at all. Like the text we read, the people we connect with won't change drastically, but that title will more accurately reflect what we actually did in the course, because of course we talked about a lot of things that weren't exclusively affecting Black women, like police brutality and racial profiling. And as far as Black men, I really didn't connect with that many there. I mean, I've seen and met, but I mean officially, formally in the course space. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping to do that more. But for instance, Kwesi, I had been told I should meet and finally did. Celine had a dinner at her house and he came. And so of course, we talked and I met his wife on a humbug at Werkstatt.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
I was there with someone else, and she knew the person, and then she said her name, and I thought, oh, Sandrine, and so it was just that kind of stuff was happening all the time, and it was fabulous. But I actually think that your question, I'm so glad you asked it, because what it does is it causes me to think more deliberately about that as I move forward, and to ask that question that you asked me, sort of what is the role of Black men in the struggle, not necessarily just about feminism, but that too, but also about transnational discourses, post-colonial discourses. Of course, we met with Daniel from Each One Teach One. He's Black, German. So that's a deficit that I need to address moving forward, because I did think I was going to focus primarily on Black women, and then things just spiraling out of control. And then I would find out about these organizations like Reach Out Berlin with Biplab Basu, who's been doing work with police brutality and profiling for over 30 years. And I just couldn't not meet them. And now moving forward, I want to definitely make that an issue, because, I think that's also an important ask too, how we are also connected across genders. And, the Les Migras, a Black trans organization, I met a member, but I didn't get to, have them speak with the students. I'm definitely going to do that, because, there's some interesting work going on in Berlin regarding the trans, something that here in the United States we're also dealing with in a more public way than ever before with, the emergence of Janet Mock, Laverne Cox. So we're starting to so I think that's one of the areas where we can maybe feel like babies together is, how are we building relationships with the trans community, or how are we not? How are we, how is our language, our way of talking about, our way of addressing, our theorizing about trans people perpetuating oppression in ways we may not know. For instance, like asking, oh, when did you become a girl? People don't even know that is a very sort of oppressive way of asking a trans person about their gender. And so I think that's a rookie area that we all could stand to come together on. But because, I just want to also clarify too about the Trayvon Orijalo thing. I think that happens more with us, actually, than in Germany. I think we are less likely to know about what's going on in Germany than Germans are with us.
Well, that's the media coverage in the United States. Whenever I go home to visit my family, I just see that it's very one-sided and very, very shallow in terms of international coverage. Even CNN, which claims to have an international perspective. It's very, I mean, Europeans always know much more about what's happening in the United States than vice versa. So,
yeah. And I mean, thank God. I love that you mentioned social media, because I think that's one way that we've sort of circumvented that narrow focus in the media is by, you know, like I have my profile picture up for the refugees in Berlin, and people are like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Okay, here's a link. You need to read this, or you need to watch this. You know, here's a YouTube channel. You know, Vicky Jones's transmedia work is really helpful because people who don't like to read or who don't have a lot of time to read or make a lot of time to read, she's got these videos and." You know, so and for instance, I think we've got to do that. We have to start connecting the experiences of refugees everywhere. Not like Audre Lorde said, not on the basis of it's the same, but because it's different. You know, for instance, when the students and I went to the Antonio Amadeo Foundation.
Yes.
Heike Radvan spoke about how the organization had shifted a little bit from like focusing on the perpetrator to the victim. And I'm seeing something unique happen in the United States where I see some organizations shift and focus from the victim to the perpetrator. Like we're having conversations now with rapists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm thinking, if one of us used to be at point A and now we're moving toward B, and the other of us used to be at point B and now we're moving toward A, it might make sense to have a conversation because maybe there are things about point B that they could tell us, or point A that we could tell. You know what I mean? Like there's just like I think in the States, we may be reinventing the wheel. I don't know, but if there are other organizations throughout the world who have been through what we are about to go through, we could find out, we could learn from them, they could learn from us. But you know, the U.S. always takes this sort of really imperialist, hegemonic stance of like, let us tell you how to fix. You know, let us, you know, I actually had somebody ask me, you know, what did they learn from you in Berlin? I really didn't go there to teach Berliners anything, you know what I mean? Even though I did give the talk, but I was asked. I had no intentions on giving a talk at all. I was asked. Of course, I obliged because I love to talk and I love what I do. But this idea that like I went to like share, it's like I went to share, but not to sort of like. And you know what else I wanted to say, too, about Black feminism? I said to somebody, because, I mean, I experienced a little pushback when I came, and I asked if Audre Lorde had.
Pushback from us or pushback from the U.S.?
From Germans, because it was like, you know.
Why are Black Germans, if I may ask?
Black, because it was like, who is that and what is she doing? You know,
who is that? Who are you?
Yeah, who am I and what do I want? What am I coming over here? And I mean, I'm American. I'm Black, but I'm American. See, this is the thing. Like, I felt so American in Berlin, for better or worse. I'm an American through and through and through. I felt that. I also felt really Black, but you know, because it's so white. But I understood the skepticism. I mean, who is this person? What do they want from us? What does she want from us? What is she trying to do? And then I have a white name. So
I was gonna say your name didn't help.
And I've been Heidi for 32 years, so I didn't even think about that until somebody was like, "We thought you were white."
Yes. Lots of people did. Yes. And also, I mean,
yeah. Yeah, but you were going to say something. I'm so sorry.
well, maybe perhaps when you sent around when you did your inquiries, maybe you should have, attached a little photo of yourself in the mail, something like that. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but
I'm
I think
serious.
many more doors would have opened to you had you done that.
I'm telling you, and certain people were very honest with me about that, and said, I thought you were white, and when I found out you were black, then I decided to, email you back. And the thing about it is I understand that. I mean, I'm an outsider coming into this community asking for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a Black American, so I'm not surprised that that bothered people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and that's why I tried to be really, really careful to articulate that I was never coming with the intent to educate Berliners about anything of themselves. I can teach about what I know, but I tried to position myself as someone who was learning and who wanted to build relationships, lifelong relationships, and not just relationships about the work, just relationships. Like, I mean, I feel like you and I have gotten close. We talk about our families, we talk about things that aren't related to the work. Celine and I, I mean, gee, we're friends now.
Yeah.
I mean, we hung out. We purposefully spent time together that wasn't about class. You know what I mean? Because we liked to be around each other. But still, some people needed to see me and hear it from me, and hear me. Someone asked, what does she think she knows about Black women in Berlin? And had the person asked me at the time, I would have said absolutely nothing, or what I read in the books. I know about Black feminism in the States. I know about transnational feminist theory. I'm trying to build relationships and learn also. So yeah. The pushback from there is indicative of how fragile, not in a negative way, but how delicate the Black German community is. Because these are people who were, I mean, I actually met, the students that I met, and you know these people, young women who were snatched away from their families and placed in orphanages across the country in the name of protecting them. People who were snatched from their Black fathers, weren't allowed to go. These are people whose lives were shattered by intruders. So far be it for me to think everybody was just going to, yes, please, yes, come intrude the space. So I was never offended by it, but it is something worth pointing out, because I think that, and now I get to have an opportunity to talk about a personal experience with students, because some of our students are very well traveled and they go in these communities and they don't understand why people don't want them there. And it's like, because they don't want you there. Now I get to tell them, hey, I've been in a space where I wasn't necessarily wanted. You know what I mean? They're if you're genuine, it could come, and maybe it never will. There could be somebody 20 years from now who's like, I'm not messing with her. And Audre went through it too, I learned. Some people, well, she could come here and tell us about how to write.